Let's bring in Congressman Kinzinger to get his reaction to the debate. A lot of fireworks, kind of like no debate we've really seen before. What's your take on it?
A big disaster. I mean, the biggest loser last night was, the American people and the American political system. It makes you miss kind of the old boring debates. That said, it is what it is. I think the president's big mistake beyond, obviously the interruption is I think there were a lot of areas where Vice President Biden wasn't answering the question, didn't have an answer, but the president kept interrupting him. But that said, I don't know if it's going to change many people's minds. If there were people on the fence, it probably was beneficial for Joe Biden because, really the big question, and this was the president putting it up there, was he mentally capable of it? And I think the vice president showed he was.
Yeah, for those diminishing demographic of people sitting on the fence, you wonder what the president did to reach out to those people. And I wanted to get your reaction to essentially the softball question about white supremacist groups that the president seemed to take a pass on. What is your reaction to that?
I mean, that was an easy question. All you simply had to do was condemn white supremacy. And look, I don't believe the president is a white supremacist, but I think for whatever reason he couldn't condemn it or he tried to do it in a way that didn't. I don't understand it. I mean, that's an easy one to knock out of the park. And again, I think the president's interrupting constantly really gave Biden a lifeline because I think there were a lot of questions when I was listening to Biden's answer. They didn't make sense. But then the president would interrupt him and kind of take the attention away from him. It was an interesting night.
In the first 20 minutes before, things got a little more heated, there was a big discussion about the Supreme Court. And that was when Joe Biden didn't answer that question about would he expand the Supreme Court. And is that a problem that he didn't answer that question?
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, the attention was taken away. But I do think that was a missed opportunity for Joe Biden because I don't think anybody wants to pack the court. The idea of packing the court is, hey, I didn't get my way. We don't have the majority, so therefore I'm going to add members. It never has worked out well. And so, but I think, again, it's everybody's kind of managing both their flanks, their extreme flanks in their party and in the middle. And I think neither side's doing a good job of just reaching out to Americans and saying, look, you may not agree with everything, but here's my answer. And, he struggled on that with a couple of things, especially when it came down to like the Green New Deal, et cetera, last night.
In the midst of COVID, health care is a big issue. And the president has kept promising to give people a health care plan and that he would cover pre-existing conditions. But I don't know that he has explained how that would work. How do you answer your constituents when they say, okay, what's the Republican plan if we get rid of Obamacare?
Well, I think, we had a good plan, I think, that failed in the Senate. And that was, McCain takes the hit for that. But really, it was actually Rand Paul, because if people remember, Rand Paul ran over to the House, was making a big scene about it and opposed our plan in the Senate. And then it's a whole thing. But anyway, I think our plan was good. I think it was better than what we have in place now. But I think now we're at a point where it's like, look, let's fix the system as best we can. What we can't do is go to more government, taking away that doctor-patient relationship. The government never does anything better than the private sector. And I wish we could all just kind of put the stripes aside after this election and say, how are we going to fix this system? Because I think we can find an area that we all generally agree on. But right now, it's just everything is mired in politics and we can't get anything done.
So in the past, you have said that you're not a huge fan of Donald Trump, but I think there's a lot of Americans who are think of themselves as Republicans and maybe more fiscally conservative, don't like his rhetoric. Did they swing to one side or the other as a result of this debate, do you think?
No, look, I think if you don't like the president, you certainly didn't like what he did last night. If you like him, you still may be disappointed in how he debated last night. If you like, the fact that Trump is strong and, talks loud, you liked it. I mean, I don't think anybody's minds were really changed last night. If there was anybody on the fence, I think it was beneficial for Joe Biden, mainly because I think people would be waiting to see if he was capable of debating. And I think he showed he was. But I don't think anybody's going to change. And again, probably only about 5% of the country is really undecided anyway.
Congressman, you've been working on the China Task Force report. What is that about?
So basically, it was initially meant to be bipartisan. The Democrats pulled out at the end of February from doing this. So we're keeping it bipartisan, even though they're not involved. And it's basically putting out some pillars. We're going to be announcing in about a half hour of, what is it that we have to do to protect our supply chain, technology, things like that against China. We don't seek to fight them, but I do think we've recognized after this pandemic it is time for us to defend ourselves. And so that's what this is. It's going to be a good report that'll last a long time.
All right, Congressman Adam Kinzinger, thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
Thank you.